There is a quiet ache that so many of us carry, an ache that rarely finds its voice. It is the sting of being unseen, the pain of watching your truth slip through the eyes of others, as though it never existed. You try to show the world who you really are, yet your effort seems to dissolve into nothingness. If you have ever stood in the middle of a crowd, surrounded by laughter and conversation, yet felt utterly invisible, then you know this ache, and you should know this as well. You are not the only one. This loneliness runs through the very fabric of human life. But if you stay with me, you will begin to see why this wound is not only universal, but also a doorway into your deepest strength. Being misunderstood is not just a moment of awkward silence or a fleeting embarrassment. It can settle into the bones like a long echo, reverberating through years and even decades. You try to speak your thoughts, your dreams, the deepest truths of your heart, yet the words unravel before they ever reach another soul. Outwardly you smile, carrying on as if nothing is wrong, but inside there is a heaviness pressing against your chest. No one truly sees you, not the person you really are beneath the careful surface. This feeling follows you like a shadow, often beginning in childhood when your brightest colors were dismissed as too much, when your sensitivity was treated as weakness, when your uniqueness was cast as something strange. After enough of these moments, you might even stop trying altogether. Nietzsche understood this as the inevitable cost of individuality. In a world that thrives on sameness, those who dare to think differently or feel too deeply risk being pushed aside, ignored, or labeled. The pain cuts so sharply because it seems as though your very essence, the thing that makes you unique, is the reason for your exile. Yet this pain is not proof of failure. It is proof that you are still alive within yourself, that your spirit refuses to give up its voice. Most of us learn to cope by blending in, by shaping our words to match what others expect, by wearing masks that protect us from rejection. On the outside, we move along, but the ache remains. It whispers in quiet moments and roars in the silence that greets us when we finally dare to speak our truth. And so the question arises, would it be easier to surrender? To smooth out the edges that make us stand apart, to bury our wildest hopes in exchange for acceptance? But even when we try, something inside resists. Nietzsche once wrote that those who were seen dancing appeared insane to those who could not hear the music. That music is yours, and even if no one else hears it, the dance belongs to you alone. We spend so much of our lives chasing belonging, bending ourselves into shapes that fit the mold, silencing our strangeness in hopes of escaping the ache. Yet no matter how hard we try, it does not go away. You can spend a lifetime seeking to be understood and still feel like a stranger in your own story. The truth is that this ache does not come from the blindness of others. It grows strongest when you silence yourself, when you allow the weight of expectation to bury the sound of your own voice. The pain of being misunderstood is not merely a wound, it is a call to reclaim yourself, to move to the rhythm of your own song, even if no one else hears the melody yet. This pain takes root each time you swallow your words, each time you dim your joy, each time you hide your fear. With every moment you pretend to be something you are not, the ache deepens and becomes a quiet rebellion rising within you. It is a constant reminder that your truth still matters, even when the world refuses to look. Nietzsche believed that freedom is not found in the arms of others' acceptance, but in the courage to embrace yourself. The approval of the world is fragile, fleeting, and never secure. Yet the peace that comes from honoring your own voice, even if no one stands beside you, is indestructible. For Nietzsche, the sting of being misunderstood was not a curse, but the spark that begins transformation. If you feel that ache, it means you are still searching for something real. And that search is what sets you apart. Here is a truth that most will never understand. You cannot force others to see you, and you should not waste yourself trying. The pain you carry is not there to destroy you, but to awaken you. Every moment of misunderstanding offers a choice. You can shrink yourself until you disappear into the mold others have built, or you can let the ache guide you closer to the self you were meant to be. Every moment of loneliness is an invitation to turn inward and ask the questions that matter most. Who am I, really? What do I want? The world may never fully grasp your essence, but the moment you begin to see yourself clearly, the pain shifts. It ceases to be a source of shame and begins to rise as a wellspring of strength. It is this transformation that fuels art, honesty, love, and the courage to walk your own path. Nietzsche himself lived it. He was mocked, ignored, and misunderstood by nearly everyone in his time. Yet, he turned pain into wisdom, solitude into clarity, and wrote for the rare few who might one day recognize his voice. In doing so, he carved out his own immortality. The same potential lives within you, in your own way. The pain that makes you doubt yourself is the very thing that reveals your uniqueness. If you lean into it, you can shape a life that feels unmistakably yours, even if only a handful of people ever truly see you. Some wounds never fully heal, but they can become the ground on which your strength grows. The pain of being misunderstood may never disappear entirely, yet it can serve as a compass pointing you toward an authentic life. You were not born to vanish into the crowd. You are here to be yourself, boldly and unapologetically, even if that means standing alone. And perhaps the moment you stop begging for understanding is the moment you are finally seen, not by everyone, but by those who matter most, and most importantly, by yourself. If this speaks to a hidden part of you, I invite you to share your story in the comments below. And if you want to walk this journey with others who feel the same, subscribe and stay connected. Because the deepest connections often begin with the courage to say, "This is who I am." The world has a strange way of rewarding the mask and punishing the truth. From the earliest years of childhood, you are taught the price of speaking too boldly, of feeling too deeply, of stepping even slightly outside the script. You learn quickly that the safest choice is to blend in, to follow the expected lines, to smooth away the edges that make you different. And yet, somewhere inside, there is a hunger to be real, to speak without rehearsal, to be seen for who you truly are, rather than the version that pleases the crowd. Each time you dare to lower the mask, even just a little, you notice how fast others retreat. Some laugh, some change the subject, some offer empty words that only deepen your loneliness. Slowly, you come to realize how rare it is to find those who can genuinely hear you. And once you do, you treasure them. For you also recognize that most people are too busy hiding themselves to truly see anyone else. Nietzsche knew that authenticity always demands a price. He wrote that you must be willing to burn in your own flame, for only through the fire can you rise again. To be truly yourself means risking rejection, misunderstanding, even abandonment. But the loneliness this brings is not a punishment. It is a sign that you are walking a path that belongs to you alone, a path that leads to a freedom most will never taste. Embracing your truth is not about avoiding the fire but entering it, knowing that what falls into ashes makes space for a stronger, more genuine version of yourself to emerge. Blending in carries its own kind of suffering. It does not roar loudly, but it erodes you quietly, slowly wearing away your spirit until you forget the sound of your own voice. You lose sight of what moves you, what frightens you, what makes you feel alive. The pain of being an outsider is different. It is sharp, unyielding, and raw. But it is also honest. You cannot escape the knowledge that you are not being true to yourself, and that awareness hurts more than any rejection. Yet, beneath that ache lies a gift. The reminder that you are still awake. Most people numb themselves until they feel nothing, but those who are misunderstood, they feel everything. And in that sensitivity, often treated as a flaw, you carry a hidden power. It allows you to notice what others overlook, to love what others dismiss, and to discover meaning in the broken places of your own heart. Nietzsche saw the misunderstood, the outsiders, as the ones who keep the future alive. Only those who resist conformity can imagine a different world, one where authenticity is no longer treated as defiance. The courage to stand apart fuels transformation, ignites creativity, and unsettles the systems that confine us. Your pain, your refusal to blend into the background, is more than personal suffering. It is a quiet rebellion, a spark that holds the power to reshape not only your life, but the world around you. There comes a moment in every life marked by misunderstanding when you realize the world will never fully see you. And strangely, that realization sets you free. You stop pleading for permission to exist as you are. Instead, you begin to listen to your own voice, even when it shakes. It is frightening, and at times unbearably lonely. But it is also the first taste of being fully alive. The ache of being misunderstood transforms into a strange kind of fuel. You no longer hide the qualities that once made you an outsider. You learn to celebrate them, to shape your longing into art, your solitude into compassion, your eccentricities into wisdom. The very traits that once set you apart become the foundation of your strength. You discover you never needed the world's applause. What you need, above all, is your own respect. The only true betrayal is abandoning yourself for the comfort of fitting in. Nietzsche's challenge to become who you are is not a single decision, but a lifelong practice. Each day requires the courage to begin again. You wake in the morning and decide, today I will speak my truth, even if it unsettles others. Today I will feel what I feel, even if no one else understands. With each act of honesty, the pain softens. What once felt like shame begins to transform into pride. You look in the mirror and see more than a face. You see a person you can honor. This path of self-acceptance may feel isolating, but isolation is not the end of the story. The more you live in alignment with your truth, the more you attract those rare souls who are drawn not to your mask, but to your authenticity. These are the ones who hear you even when your words are imperfect, who not only accept your differences, but value them deeply. Finding such people is not a matter of chance. It happens when you dare to live without disguise. Every time you lower the mask, you give others permission to do the same. Your vulnerability becomes a signal to those who are also weary of hiding. You may never gather a vast crowd to cheer for you, but the few who recognize you for who you are will matter more than the many who never looked closely. Nietzsche called these rare bonds elective affinities, connections chosen not by accident, but by recognition, the kind of ties that make life not just bearable but meaningful. They may not appear in every chapter of your life. Sometimes, the path remains solitary for long stretches. Yet when you do encounter them, there is a spark of recognition, a deep exhale, as if to say, at last, someone sees me. To be misunderstood is to feel the pulse of life itself, but to embrace who you are, even when misunderstanding surrounds you, is to discover a kind of strength that nothing can break. You don't need to shout your truth to the world. Sometimes the quiet certainty that you are enough speaks louder than any noise. There will always be those who cannot see you clearly. There will be moments when your voice shakes, when your story is met with silence, when your ideas are brushed aside or ridiculed. Yet, the revolution begins not out there, but within you the moment you decide that their approval will no longer define your worth. When you stand firm in your own truth, the ache of being misunderstood begins to fade, replaced by the rare satisfaction of living in harmony with your soul. In that moment, your very life becomes your message. You become a beacon that reaches the right people at the right time in the right way. Most people spend their days chasing the fleeting comfort of being understood. Only a rare few take the ache of longing and transform it into the courage to become fully themselves. The question before you is simple yet profound. Will you answer that call? Or will you allow the pain of being misunderstood to silence you forever? The choice you make now will ripple through every chapter of your life, shaping the risks you take, the relationships you keep, and the moments you dare to step forward as your authentic self. If you continue on this path, you will see that the pain was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to guide you toward the life that only you can live. You could spend years searching for the perfect words, the flawless explanation, the moment when someone finally looks into your eyes and says they truly understand. For most of us, that moment never arrives as we imagine it. The world is loud, distracted, and too preoccupied with its own struggles to fully hear you. And so you arrive at a crossroads. Will you continue exhausting yourself in the hope of universal recognition? Or will you step boldly into being yourself, unapologetically, even if the path feels lonely at first? The truth is that the pain of being misunderstood never disappears entirely. Even the greatest minds, Nietzsche among them, longed for someone who could truly hear them. But hidden inside that ache is a gift, one that cannot be found any other way. It is the gift of radical self-acceptance. When you no longer crave validation from every voice around you, you uncover a freedom deeper than belonging. You discover that your own approval, the witness inside you that sees without judgment, holds more power than anything the world could ever give or take away. And in that discovery, the pain loses its hold. What once felt like exile transforms into sovereignty. The knowledge that you are free to live, to create, and to become, not in spite of being misunderstood, but because of it. Being misunderstood hurts in ways that words often fail to capture. There will be nights when doubt slips in, like a shadow you cannot escape, weighing heavy on your chest. There will be days when loneliness feels unbearable, pressing down with a silence that seems endless. Yet within that heaviness, something remarkable begins to take shape. Each time you choose to remain in your truth rather than abandon it, you grow a little stronger. Each time you refuse to let others define you, life feels a little lighter, as if the air itself has shifted. Slowly, you come to see that the sting of being misunderstood is far less suffocating than the emptiness of living a life that was never really yours. Trusting yourself is not something given at birth. It is built, slowly and painfully, through risk, failure, and persistence. Every time you offer an idea that meets confusion, every time you bare your heart only to be met with indifference, you are faced with a choice. You can retreat further into hiding, or you can remain faithful to yourself. It is always tempting to shut down, to promise never to risk again. Yet every time you resist that urge, every time you stand and say, "This is who I am," even if no one understands, you strengthen your voice. Piece by piece, it grows steadier, until one day you recognize it as your own. Nietzsche observed that most people prefer the comfort of being accepted for what they are not, rather than risk rejection for who they truly are. He called this one of humanity's great tragedies. But he also believed in the rare individual willing to endure the loneliness of authenticity. That rare soul lights the way for others who are searching. The world may not applaud you for it, not at first, perhaps not ever. Yet history shows us that every transformation, every real revolution, begins with someone who dared to be misunderstood and still refused to step back. Trusting your voice does not mean you will never wrestle with doubt. Doubt will linger, sometimes closer than your own breath. But alongside, it grows a quiet pride. You will carry the memory of the times you refused to disappear, of the moments when you held fast to your dream, even in silence. Those moments become the foundation of a life that feels undeniably your own. Nietzsche taught that the deepest wounds of existence can become our greatest sources of meaning. The pain of being misunderstood is no exception. When you lean into it instead of running away, when you allow yourself to feel it, to study it, even to embrace it, it begins to transform. Out of that ache emerges creativity, empathy, and a sense of purpose that cannot be found elsewhere. Some of the world's most profound music, art, philosophy, and acts of love were born from those who knew the sting of invisibility and chose to turn it into light. You might write words that only a handful of people will ever truly grasp. You might create or dream things that seem strange to the world, but that does not make them any less real. If anything, it makes them even more vital. The ones who resonate with your truth, the ones who finally hear the quiet music of your soul, will find it because you dared to play it. Even if the room feels empty at first, the meaning you seek will not come from the crowd. It will come from the act of creating, of speaking, of being. Meaning is not handed to you. Meaning is crafted by you. The same wound that once left you feeling cut off from the world can become the very doorway to a deeper connection with yourself and with those who are also searching for something real. You may never live in a world that fully understands you, but you can create a smaller, truer world where you are seen by a handful of kindred spirits and, most importantly, by the one looking back at you in the mirror. It's easy to fall into the belief that the pain will never end, or that you've missed your one chance to be seen. Yet the truth is simpler and more hopeful. Every single day offers you the chance to step closer to your authentic self. Each moment you choose honesty over approval. Each time you refuse to make yourself smaller, you are writing a story the world has never seen before. The ache of being misunderstood may never vanish entirely, but it can guide you to places you could never reach by disappearing into the crowd. Let that ache shape the way you live, the art you create, the relationships you build, and the voice you share. Sometimes the very things you fear most, the silence, the blank stares, the moments of deep loneliness, are the things that ultimately lead you home. You are not here to be universally understood. You are here to understand yourself, to become the person you once longed for someone else to see, to stand as living proof that being misunderstood is not a curse, but a peculiar kind of blessing. It is evidence that you are alive, awake, and living a story that only you can tell. And when you find the courage to be yourself, you give others permission to do the same. You create space for connection that goes beyond being liked, into the realm of being truly known, even if it is only by a few. You become a mirror for those who feel invisible, a lifeline for those still afraid to reveal themselves. Nietzsche's lesson is not that this pain disappears, but that it can be carried without destroying you. It is not the end of your journey, but the beginning of the path that belongs only to you. You don't need to wait. You don't need to hide. Your story, with all its flaws and brilliance, is already enough. And if any part of this resonates with you, know that your journey matters here. Share what you've been carrying in the comments below, because your voice might be the one that helps someone else feel less alone. And if you want to keep walking this path with others who feel the same, subscribe and stay connected. Because even if the world never fully understands you, here, you are not alone, and you never will be.